Although the UFO controversy began in the summer of 1947, it's a fact that encounters with alleged aliens in that era were all but non-existent. In fact, it wasn't until the early 1950s when people began to make claims to the effect that they had undergone face-to-face encounters with aliens. In nearly all of the cases, the aliens were very human-like. The only differences were that they sported heads of long blonde hair, which of course was hardly the style for men in early 1950s era USA. In that sense, they really stood out. But trim their hair, and they would look just like us. The extraterrestrials soon became known in the field of ufology as the Space Brothers, while those that encountered the beings from beyond were dubbed the contactees. Unlike today's aliens, bug-like, dwarfish, black-eyed things who routinely abduct people in the dead of night and in trauma-filled fashion, the Space Brothers were friendly beings whose main role seemed to be to warn people of the perils of nuclear weapons. Not only that, many of the contactees claimed that their brothers and sisters from the heavens above were Martians. As a consequence, beings from the Red Planet had been hauled into the growing UFO controversy. The contactees claimed that they met the Space Brothers at isolated, lonely locales, such as the deserts of California, New Mexico, and Arizona. Not only that, the Space Brothers urged those they targeted for recruitment to go out and spread the words and advice of the aliens. They certainly did that. In no time at all, the Space Brother contactee phenomenon became the dominating aspect of early 1950s ufology. Without doubt, the most famous, many would soon say infamous, and many still do, of all the contactees was George Adamski. His claims of encounters with benign, human-like aliens captured the attention and imagination of the public to a major degree. For example, his first book, Flying Saucers Have Landed, which was co-written with Desmond Leslie, was a huge seller. Sales reached no less than 6 figures. Following in the footsteps of Adamski were Truman Bethurum, who in 1954 rode aboard a flying saucer. An entertaining saga of Bethurum's alleged encounters with a hot space babe known as Captain Aura Raines. George Hunt Williamson was very much in the style of Adamski, while Orfeo Angelucci was granted flights on alien saucers and became a fixture on the UFO-based lecture circuit. While there were certain differences between the various tales, or the yarns, that the Space Brothers told, there was one theme that really stood out. It was that claim that many of the aliens came from Mars, or had connections to Martians. Regardless of whether or not one buys into the often very tall tales of the contactees, it was the incredible influence of these admittedly gifted storytellers that led many to look towards Mars for answers concerning the UFO presence on our world. Even certain elements of the US military found itself infected by such stories. In the summer of 1952, one Commander Randall Boyd of U.S. Air Force Intelligence quietly advised N.W. Philcox, who at the time was the FBI's liaison with the Air Force, that it is not entirely impossible that the objects sighted may possibly be ships from another planet such as Mars. Truman Bethurum was a Californian, born in 1898, who spent much of his early years working jobs that never seemed to last. His first marriage both began and crumbled during the Second World War. He entered into a second marriage only several months after the war ended, and ultimately wound up working out in the harsh, hot deserts of Nevada, specifically in the highway construction game. It was while Bethurum was out in the desert in 1952, and while his second wife, Mary, was stuck at home in Santa Barbara, that Bethurum claimed he had an extremely close encounter with extraterrestrials on Mormon Mesa, a near 2,000-foot-high mount in Nevada's Moapa Valley. On the fateful night in question, and after the working day was over, Bethurum climbed the mountain, primarily to search for shells, something that Mary particularly enjoyed collecting. The story goes that Bethurum was rendered into a strange, altered state of mind, during which aliens from another world suddenly manifested before him, having arrived in a huge, gleaming, flying saucer that quietly descended to the desert floor. Although only around 4 feet 5 to 5 feet in height, the aliens were eerily human-looking and claimed to come from a faraway planet called Clarion. Not only that, their leader was one Captain Aura Raines, a shapely woman that the near-salivating Bethurum described as being tops in shapeliness and beauty. All thoughts of Mary back in Santa Barbara were suddenly gone from Bethurum's mind. Bethurum's odd story continued and grew at a steady and controversial pace, as did his relationship to the flirty Captain Rains. For months, Bethurum and Rains had clandestine meetings, usually late at night. They generally occurred in isolated desert locations in Nevada, where, after Rains' huge ship landed, the pair had long and deep conversations about the state of the Earth, the Cold War, and the captain's homeworld, to which she promised to take Bethurum one day. While Bethurum did not explicitly say so, there are more than a few nuggets of data in Bethurum's collective work that suggests on a couple of occasions the pair had just about the closest and most intimate encounters of all. It's hardly surprising, then, that many students of ufology outright dismiss Bethurum's story as either a hoax or a fantasy born out of Bethurum's unhappiness with both wife number 1 and 2. Eventually, there would be wife number 3. There is, however, one particularly fascinating aspect of Bethurum's claimed experiences that has a significant bearing upon the matter of the women in black. On 2 occasions, Bethurum said, he encountered Aura Rains under circumstances very different to those which occurred out in the desert, with Rains' huge flying saucer and her crew of little men in view. These additional encounters saw Rains operating in what can only be termed disguise. In fact, in definitive woman in black mode. There was nothing flirty or friendly about these close encounters, however. They were downright hostile. The first occurred around 3 a.m., a time when a wealth of supernatural activity typically occurs. One August 1952 morning, Bethurum and a work friend, Whitey, had just finished their shift and decided to head off in Whitey's pickup truck to a favorite all-night diner in Glendale, Nevada. Whitey was someone who Bethurum had quietly confided in about his experiences with Aura Rains. He was also someone who, although fascinated by Bethurum's claims, was somewhat skeptical of the story. That is, until they entered the diner. Any skepticism Whitey had was very soon to be wiped out. As the pair sat and drank coffee and ate pie, a noticeably quiet Whitey elbowed Bethurum in the ribs and motioned him to take a look at the end of the counter. Bethurum looked up. He was amazed and shocked to see Aura Rains and an equally small male individual standing there. "It's her, isn't it?" asked Whitey. Bethurum nodded, pretty much in a state of near shock. Both men watched carefully as Rains and her colleague took seats at a window table. In stark contrast to everyone else in the diner, Rains was dressed in black. Black beret, wraparound black sunglasses, black velvet blouse, and black boots. The only thing that wasn't black, a glaring red skirt. A worried Whitey asked, "What are you going to do?" Bethurum knew exactly what he was going to do. He composed himself and walked over and talked to them. Whitey, however, was having none of it. He quickly exited the diner, preferring to sit in his truck, in the overwhelming darkness of the desert, rather than confront creatures from another world. Perhaps trying to be a gentleman and tactful at the same time, Bethurum asked, "I beg your pardon, lady, but haven't we met before?" Rains slowly looked up, glared at Bethurum with a wide-eyed and hostile stare, and uttered just one word: "No." In private correspondence with fellow contactee George Hunt Williamson, Bethurum said that Rains's "no" was uttered in a chilling, demonic tone, almost like a deadly hiss, to use Bethurum's own words. Bethurum wasn't taking that for an answer. "You very closely resemble a lady I met some time ago out on Mormon Mesa." The only response was another "no" of a very threatening style. Bethurum evidently didn't get the message. He blundered on with his line of questions. The answer was the same again and again. All the time, the weird little man with Rains, who also sported dark sunglasses, said not even a single word. Bethurum clearly recognized this odd behavior on the part of Rains's comrade. The man did not give a hint that he either heard me or was even aware of my presence. He could have passed as a blind and deaf mute. As Bethurum walked away and back to his table, the waitress came over. She just happened to be someone else that Bethurum had told of his otherworldly experiences. She said to him, "They are surely the saucer people you told us about." He replied, "I thought so too. But it may not be. The lady has on dark glasses and the man had a scar on his face." The waitress gave a strange response. "I noticed that too, but it is not a scar. It is only penciled on." With that, the odd little man motioned for the check. In a few moments it was paid, and the pair headed for the door. The waitress raced over to Bethurum and said, "The lady told me to tell you that she knows you. and that she was sorry and yes is the answer to some of your questions. It was then that something very strange happened, as Bethurum noted. I saw them only a step from the door, before I turned to pay my check. When I turned back, they were gone. I rushed outside, and there stood Whitey puffing nonchalantly on his cigarette. When a dumbfounded Bethurum asked where the pair was, Whitey replied, "They never came out. Honest true, not a blessed soul passed through that door until you came out." Just a couple of weeks later, on a Saturday afternoon, Bethurum was having his hair trimmed at a barber's shop in Las Vegas when he caught sight of Aura Raines, yet again. This time, she was walking along the sidewalk outside the barber's, wearing her same outfit of black sunglasses, black beret, black blouse, and red skirt. Bethurum practically threw his dollars and coins at the astonished barber and raced out of the door. "Lady! Lady!" cried Bethurum as he caught sight of Raines about 60 feet ahead of him. She quickly turned, looked directly at him, despite the fact that the street was crowded and the shout could have come from any number of dozens of people on the sidewalk. She slowly shook her head. The stone-cold look on her face was one of pure evil. Bethurum got the message as Raines vanished into the crowd. Nevertheless, it wasn't long before the nighttime liaisons in the desert were renewed, something which continued until November 2nd, 1952, when the little people of Clarion finally said their goodbyes. A crushed Bethurum was never to see his beautiful woman from the stars again. Maybe, as we've seen, that should be sometimes beautiful, but other times nothing but hostile. Little people is a very appropriate term to use, since there are clear and undeniable parallels between Aura Raines and the legendary female fairy folk who would enchant men in Middle Ages-era Britain. The sexual aspects of such encounters, combined with notable amounts of missing time, make them the centuries-old mirror images of today's alien abductions. The matter of Raines' sunglasses-wearing comrade having a painted-on scar mirrors the 1976 saga of a Dr. Herbert Hopkins, whose unsettling MIB seemed to be wearing lipstick, and whose story plays a key role in the saga of the Women in Black, as will become apparent later on in this book. Other WIB and MIB are often described as wearing makeup, as if to mask their milk-white, pasty skin. Then there is the matter of the disappearance of the strange duo. As they exited the door of the diner, they vanished, as in literally. In no less than dozens of WIB and MIB cases, the black-clad fiends of the night seem to possess the unnerving ability to dematerialize as they exit the homes of those they terrorize.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to support this kind of content. See you on the next travel.